Bon Air, Virginia. Known prior as Brown's Summit, was founded in 1877 as a Victorian fresh air retreat away from Richmond city life. Bon Air eventually grows into a year-round village into the 20th century. After World War II, Roscoe Crozet, a Bon Air Episcopalian, began reaching out to who might support a local Episcopalian church. October of 1950, he calls a meeting of his faithful 25, which culminated in a telephone call. Bishop Gunn, this is Tony Tierman of Bon Air. We want to start a church. How about next week?
The largest church in the convocation was in Petersburg, and Bon Air community was growing, and they wanted to put a church here, but there was nothing here, so they opened up a congregation, a parish, in a community center, and that grew into St. Michael's Church.
With an improvised altar, a communion rail, and Constant Dundas playing a rickety piano held up by a brick on one corner, the journey continued to March 4th, 1951, with the first service of this new congregation in the old Bon Air Community House. 46 attended, including Norman Taylor, Archdeacon of the diocese. Then a congregational meeting was called, where the first leadership committee was elected and the name St. Michael's was chosen. Mr. Taylor also announced that a student from Seabury Western Seminary might be available. Navy veteran Charles Vachet would become St. Michael's deacon in charge, then priest in charge, then rector. He will eventually retire in 1991 as bishop of our diocese. Since the Bon Air Community House could not be a permanent home, parish leaders visited a former bowling alley and pool hall, now a Methodist church. The selling price was steep, but on Sunday, May 20th, 1951, the founders took a risk and raised the $5,100 needed to purchase the White Church, resting on what is now St. Michael's front lawn. In 1955, the parish purchases the Overby property and their home, which becomes a Sunday school, and later the Spanish Castle.
I grew up in Oxford over near Cherokee Road, and we were told not to go down McRae Road any further, go down to the Spanish Castle. You just didn't go down there.
In 1957, Reverend Vachet was succeeded by Reverend Webster Simons. In 1959, Reverend Simons oversaw the campaign and completion of the current sanctuary and Taylor Hall for the new St. Michael's Day School.
We were excited about the school. Our children, all of our children went through St. Michael's School. We just really felt at home here. It was a strong community of people, and it was warm and welcoming.
I feel real connected. A lot of the same children that I was teaching were in the church. There were 3 huge trees in front of the church. And in the summer and spring, we would have tea and lemonade under those trees. And it was wonderful. It was good for the adults and the children too. It was really, really nice.
In 1966, Reverend Simons accepts a call to North Carolina, and Robert Stylberg is called to St. Michael's as rector.
Barely remember, but it was with Bob Stylberg. And he had this sport coat that he really loved. It was a plaid sport coat. And we used to have a lot of backyard sales during that particular time. He could not find his plaid sport coat. But when he got here, he saw one on the rack. And apparently Isabel, his wife, had donated that to the backyard sale. But he bought it back, so he wanted to be sure he didn't not have one, so he got it back. We had clown ministry here. We had liturgical dancing here, settled Cambodian families, and so there was so many good memories of working with all these wonderful, wonderful people here at St. Michael's.
I mowed the grass here, I think, more than anyone else. And as I told you, I also sinned here, having once tripped the Virgin Mary, better known as my sister, in the Christmas pageant, where Bev Buston got to me and boxed my ears even before my mother could. And then there was the matter of the Coke machine when Keith Cronin and I found the key to it. That was the same time we actually found the key to the gymnasium and started to host our own basketball games during the week, unbeknownst to Ed Hubbard or my dad.
December 1987, Reverend Stylberg accepts a call to the Eastern Shore. Reverend Robert New is appointed interim rector.
It's a funny story about Bob New. He was your wonderful friend. He was just so down to earth and so forth. But on Pentecost, he had to wear red, just like everybody else should. So he had red pants that he wore under his cassock, whatever you call that. He had to wear that, and he was sure he pulled it up so you could see it during the service.
In 1990, the church successfully calls Reverend William Wickham III as rector. Under Bill Wickham's leadership, the parish house was enhanced, an emphasis on responding to the needs of newcomers, innovative adult education programs, including DOC, Disciples in Christ and Community. And we celebrated St. Michael's 40th and 50th anniversaries. In 2004, Reverend Wickham accepts a call to Delaware, and Charles Johnson was appointed interim rector. In 2006, Reverend Johnson successfully concludes the search process, and St. Michael's calls Reverend Gregory Hodson as rector. On January 2012, Reverend Hodson was succeeded by Reverend Jim Smith as interim rector until the following October, when St. Michael's welcomes Reverend Janae, now Reverend Dr. Janae Godsey, as rector.
And Janae, right from the start, I think she set a tone. She said she was a green light person, just very warm, comfortable with people of all ages, people from all different life experiences and backgrounds. So I think she really has set a tone that has made this church house a home for so many people.
When Joe was 8, he would watch us read, and he wanted to come up and join us read. Janae allowed us to allow Joe to read, and Joe got up there and he did a phenomenal job the first time.
We had a leak in the vesting room, and so Janae took the shop vac up there and she was vacuuming up water. And I looked at her and I said, "You don't have to be the one who does that. Let me take over so you can go do other things." So then I'm vacuuming water off the floor. And then Carolyn Lawrence comes in, she sees me, and Carolyn Lawrence says to me, "You don't have to be the one who does that. Let me take over so you can do other things." It just really feels like a family where we're all taking care of each other.
It was through St. Michael's that I was made my Cursillo, which became another big part of my life. Took 3 years of EFM training, but all of it was because I was inspired to do that by some individuals at St. Michael's Church. I just can't imagine worshiping anywhere else.
You know, there's a lot to be said for looking around and seeing that there's another 36 people or more that you know you're going to see on a steady basis. I'm not a person who attends the church. I'm a member.
On a personal level and spiritual level, I think being involved with the choir was something that I started early on in my time here, and that's also been an opportunity for our family to sing. And there's nothing like singing together to bring people together, so to worship together. So
It's fed my faith in many ways. Helped me learn more about what it means to serve. So I'm happy I'm here.
I'm very optimistic for the future. And I get to come here and enjoy my friends and enjoy the community and worship God. I don't know what anybody else would want from a faith community, from a church. And I find that here, and it fills me up.
I got to see my dad give sermons that just were spellbinding here, whether it was to the school or to the church. But I recall him saying that the whole foundation of Christianity was an unshakable belief that the best is always yet to come. God made the windshield of your car this wide and the rear view mirror this big. And he said, you should use them proportionately about like that. So we look back, we remember, we love, but the bigger message here is looking forward to where we're going, and the best is yet to come.
It is such a joy to hear so many wonderful stories of our fellow parishioners, of how they've come to know each other, how they've come to know St. Michael's, how they've come to know God in a deeper way through the ministry of St. Michael's. The last 75 years here have been ones where we can point to outreach and mission, of lives being transformed through God's power. And we can be proud of those many years in the past. The stories also point to the importance of our future. And I'm so glad that we are coming together to celebrate our 75th anniversary with the idea that we will be celebrating another 75 years and beyond that in the future. Each one of us is called here at St. Michael's to celebrate, to love, and to serve. Celebrate God's beauty, love God's people, serve God's world. As we celebrate this Jubilee, let's all remember that celebration and Jubilee lifts our hearts to God and our hands to the world.